And now we are doing exercise 2.2. I'm going to open brackets as it says, and then go find in exercises chapter 2, JavaScript jQuery.html. So this was in the book apps. I need to instead choose the exercises from spring 2019. And in chapter 2, I should see these files. I'll open up the JavaScript jQuery, and I'm going to go ahead and split as well because I know that I need to work back and forth. So I can scoot this over a little bit and be able to see more of my code. Oh, oops. I need to be on an HTML file to use the live preview. Use the live preview, and it looks like what it looked like before. We're going to make some changes. That was numbers 1 through 4. Number 5, I'm going to display, let's see, change the float property for the image element from left to right. We did that in the book app as well. Let's go ahead and do it here. Float right. Test the change. I'm looking at it in the live preview, and I see that. Number 6, back in that file, change the color for the H1 element to red. So I'm just changing values of properties that are already there. I changed that to red and changed the font size to 180 instead of 200. 180, so that's a little bit bigger, but not quite as big as that 200%. And go back to the HTML file and add a P element at the bottom of the page. I'm trying to keep my alignment good too. My indentations good so that it's easy to read my HTML file. So in this paragraph, I'm going to add for customer service, and you can see that this is adding it on the live preview for customer service. Call us from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 1-555-555-555. Period. Okay. Notice it doesn't make any difference what the where lines end over here. It uses as much space as it has in the actual page. Because I have word wrap on, that is something that you might want to do. So if you go to view word wrap, if your text is going off your HTML, you might need to choose the word wrap. Mine was already set that way. Number 8, go to the JavaScript jQuery HTML file, add an ID attribute to the P element I just created. So I created that P element by adding the P tag. Now I need to give it an attribute. And for this attribute, it says use an ID of service. Okay? ID of service for this line. And now that's going to allow us in CSS to make changes to just that paragraph and not every paragraph. Because if I made a change to all of the P's or to this rule that has P as the selector, that would apply to all of the paragraphs. But I want to make some changes or set some CSS, set some style just on this paragraph itself. So I give it an ID. Number 9, go back and add a style rule for the element with service as its ID. It tells me to refer to 2.6, which is on page 57. And notice that if I use an ID, I need to use the hash in front of it, or the pound sign, or another name for that is an octothorpe, actually. In front of the ID name itself. So in my rule set, or to create my rule set, I need the octothorpe service. I can't have any space between there. Whoops, and I can't misspell it or mistype it. Start my curly brace and now put some rules in there. My rules should be the color property of red, and I end that with a semicolon, and the clear property to both. The clear property to both actually just means that now the image is not floating. So before the rest of that phone number was down on the next line, but now it just continues over underneath that image. That's what the clear both does. And that's all with number 9, I believe. Yeah. And then in number 10, it wants me to actually make a change that is wrong so that I can validate it and see that what happens when there's something wrong. So I'm just going through saving both files now, Control S and Control S. And then in number 10 on page 84, it wants me to delete the ending for the image tag. So come up to this image tag and get rid of that angle bracket. Now, I can see that there's a problem with this file because, or with what's going on because the next line is red. So even brackets is telling me that there's something wrong and I need to fix something. But let's go ahead and do it for the sake of following this, this page, these instructions. So go to the site in figure 215. And I gave you links to each of these as well. This site is validator.w3.org. Validator.w3.org. And validate by, it wants me to do file upload. I have to be sure that I've saved this now, Control S, and choose the file. I can browse and find this file. Mine is in my working files. Whoops. Exercises, chapter 2, and this is an HTML validator. It told me number 1, the error is it saw a less than sign when expecting an attribute name. Probable cause, it's missing a greater than sign or the other angle bracket immediately before. It even tells me exactly where it's expecting it. So at line 11, column 9. At line 11, column 9, it's expecting to have something before it. Well, lo and behold, that is the problem. But notice that there are 1, 2, 3 errors and a warning here, but there really is only one issue. So let's fix that issue and save it again, and then choose the file again and check again, and no errors or warnings to show. Take a screenshot of that. In fact, take a screenshot of all of this. Show me your HTML, show me your CSS, and show me that this validator gave you no errors. That will be what you can turn in for exercise 2.2 file and get the points for exercise 2, this unit. The same thing with number 11. You're doing the same thing, but it's in CSS instead. So in CSS, you're creating an error. Delete the semicolon for the color property in the H1 style rule. Okay. Now this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to save that and open up. Which one did it want me to use? Jigsaw. Okay, And the same thing by file upload, book.css, open, check. It actually says that there are no errors. That's because it's the last rule in this rule set. So if I put the semicolon back there, or even if I left it out, but if I removed a semicolon in one of the previous rules, notice that color changed color. It looks like there's an error there now. Well, there is. I'm going to come back and validate it again and check it again. And now it says there's an error. And it even says missing a semicolon before the property name color. So it's on line 13. Before that should be a semicolon. And if I add that back in, then that should be fine. Oops. I need to go back and check and try again, and congratulations, no error found. So in general, though, we'll go ahead and put the semicolons at the end of every rule, just so that we don't forget. We don't want to get in the habit of you don't have to on the last one. We want to put semicolons on every rule, in every rule set in CSS. And I think that's it. Like I said, take a screenshot of one of these validators showing that it's correct, and your HTML and your CSS. A screenshot of exactly this would be perfect for your exercise 2 submission. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.